Well, David Pryor is the chair of the Care Quality Commission. He joins me now. David Pryor, why were the people involved in this cover-up allowed to sustain their anonymity and take very large sums of public money to leave their jobs?
We didn't want them to have anonymity. Right from the beginning, when we commissioned the report, the idea was to put the whole report into the public domain. But we were told by our lawyers that if we did that, we were breaching the Data Protection Act, so we can't do it. Now, we are going to press that legal advice further to see if we can. We would certainly wish to do so.
Well, you were worried you were going to be sued.
We were worried we would be sued.
But given your first priority is actually to the patient, it was worth risking being sued.
Well, getting the report out was the most important thing, in my view. Of secondary importance, but still important, is the names of the people in the report. But if we had not got that report out quickly, I think we would have been heavily criticised for not doing so. Well, so it was a difficult decision to make.
But you see, the problem really is that we can't be sure that there are whole elements of this cover-up and whole elements of this bullying that are still contained within the health regulator. For example, the people who bullied Mrs. Sheldon, how many of them are still working for the CQC?
Well, I mean, the board has nearly completely changed. The top executive team has almost completely changed, actually has completely changed. And we have, there's been a root and branch change of people.
But you can't tell me that you're sure that there's nobody still in the CQC who was involved in bullying the whistleblower.
I can't give you 100% assurance.
But that's a terrible state of affairs. She did the nation a public service, and she has suffered dreadfully.
Well, and we did the independent review done by Grant Thornton, which we published today, on the back of her actions, which was the right thing to do, I think. Did
you, or your predecessor, give to Grant Thornton the report that you tried to cover up, or that they tried to cover up?
They found it in the course of their investigations. They came across the report that they had tried to cover up.
But this means that there were people in the CQC who knew about that report and did not disclose it to the people you'd asked to come in and investigate.
That is correct.
So what's happened to them?
They have all left the organisation.
All of them?
All of them.
And what action has been taken against them?
Well, they all left Cynthia Bauer has left.
How were they allowed to leave? Why weren't they sacked?
Well, no one knew that this had happened at the time. I mean, she left over a year ago. I mean, this report has come out, I saw it on Friday, over this weekend. We did not have the benefit of this report at the time.
But there was a meeting on the 12th of March, for example, of 2012, when the report was discussed by 4 people. We now know who 2 of those people are, but we are not able to say who they are.
Yeah, the internal report you're talking about. I know. Well, no one knew about that report apart from those people at that meeting.
You see, the difficulty is that you are the health regulator. You are the people who protect our interests.
I know.
And we can't be sure that you haven't got bullies. We can't be absolutely sure that you haven't got liars. What we can be sure of is that you've allowed people to drift off into the public domain who have behaved outrageously, taken vast amounts of money, and may yet still be in the health service. Can you be sure that they're not?
I am pretty sure they are not.
Pretty sure is not good enough, is it?
Well, I am 99% sure that they are not. Look, John, when you have an organisation which is as dysfunctional as this one, where the culture was so rotten at the top, where the relationship between the top executive team and the board is so poisonous, bad things happen, good people behave in a way that they would not normally behave in. Frankly, the responsibility for this lies right at the top of the organisation, with the board, the chairman, the chief executive.
But what you've just said will come as the most terrible shock to the nation. There may be experts who know that this was the case, but the average patient didn't know that they were as vulnerable and unprotected as your organisation left them.
No, I agree. Nor did I.
Well, that's a terrible thing.
I didn't know either.
But these people are drifting around in the public domain untackled.
Well, they have left.
Are we sure they've not committed a criminal offence?
They've left the CQC. They had nothing to do with the CQC.
They haven't left society. Well, they're not locked up.
They are not locked up, but they haven't. I don't believe they've done a criminal act. Now, we're going to take this report, and as Jeremy Hunt said in the House of Commons, we're going to take further legal advice to see what redress we might have. As I said, we got this report on Friday. I mean, I would also say, John, we commissioned this independent report.
David Pryor, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks.
Catherine.
Thanks, John.